Jason, great to have you on Migmel Matters. How you doing?
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Doing great.
Now, of course, the pandemic was tough on performers, but you're out of the gate big time. You're doing really well, and your song "Shoot Me Down" is on fire. You can't listen to country music radio in Canada, I think, without hearing your song, so that's great. Lots of plays on Amazon, so that's doing really well for you.
Yeah, I gotta say it's been a great year. After the pandemic and the 2 years, that everybody uh, went through, it was so hard for so many artists to do what we do. I mean, to get out to perform, to continue to release music, and a lot of labels, a lot of business. The business side of the industry was also shut down, so
Yes.
it was different. But I think in that there was a silver lining, and I think a lot of artists, including myself, got a chance to try to do something a little different that they probably wouldn't normally do. For me, it was to produce my own album, which is the first time I've ever done that. So yeah, there was a silver lining within all that chaos for sure.
Mhm. Now, "Shoot Me Down" is a great song. It has great vocals, great fiddle. It has a certain kind of swing feel to it, so it has a lot of
Yeah,
great energy. And people might not know that it has aside from you, it has another Newfoundland angle, which is that it was an Eddie Eastman song that
that's right.
you redid. And Eddie Eastman, people of a certain generation will remember Eastbound 401 was a big song for Eddie back in the day. And of
Yeah.
course, another Newfoundlander, Juno Award winner. And so how did that come to be? You knew the song and thought you could
Yeah.
make it more contemporary, maybe.
Well, I met Eddie at the CCMA Awards probably back in 2017. He was 17, 18 around there. I met him both years, and we just started chatting. And we're both from Newfoundland, so we had something to talk about. Um, and I've known the song. I knew the song, but I somebody had posted the song on Facebook, one of my friends actually, and it was from a house party um, in my area
Oh wow.
back in, I'd say, the early 90s or something. And that's the song they were singing. And they sang it a little different. It was more up like a little, just they just sang it differently. And I'm like, that's a great song. So I went back and I revisited the song from Eddie, and I said, like, what a great tune. I wonder if there's a way that I could, kind of make it my own, and bring it into the modern country sound a little bit for radio. And so I reached out to Eddie, and I asked him if he would mind if I did that. And he said, no, go ahead. And he said, just send it over, and we'll, see how it goes. So I did. I had something in mind for it. I did my little rewrite and did up a demo, and sent it over to Eddie, and he loved it. He thought it was great, and his wife loved it too. He made a note to say that, she doesn't like a lot of new country, but she thinks this one sounds great. So
Well, that's great. High praise.
yeah,
High
yeah, it
praise from
was. It
Mrs.
was.
Eastman.
It was, yeah.
Yes.
That's what sealed the deal there was
Yes.
Mrs. Eastman.
Um, so now, speaking of good news, the Music NL Awards are in Corner Brook later in October, and you're nominated for, I think it's 5 awards,
Yeah,
including Indigenous Artist of the Year and the Ron Hines Songwriting Award, which is high praise indeed. So
yeah.
you're a songwriter, and I see that you write. You have a songwriting partner. I don't know if you work with him on all the songs in PEI. How do you How do you? I was reading an article about Willie Nelson recently, and he has a songwriting partner also, and they text back and forth. Willie
Yeah.
thinks of a few lines, they text, and his partner texts back. So, what's your process for songwriting?
This this EP, this is Time Traveler Side A is the name of the EP, but there's also a side B coming soon. And it was actually we wrote it together over from 2020, 2021. Myself and my buddy Jerry Foote from PEI, and we're he's not in the business. He just plays guitar for fun, and he likes to play. We just sit around, just playing some tunes and stuff like that. So this is the first time I think we actually had a lot of time in between, actually during the pandemic, which was odd. We kind of in between the lockdowns, I managed to get over there and spend some time with him, and we actually got to write a fair bit. And this is the first time that we actually did that. And then the idea wasn't actually to even write music to release. It was just to have fun. We were just sitting
Mm,
around. We had a couple beer and pull the guitars out, just singing some tunes. And actually, we just a couple of creative guys. We just wrote some songs that we felt would be good for us, like the songs that we like to listen to, and
mm,
that came from where we grew up. So old country and old blues and um, things like that. So and that's basically how the whole album was written, outside of the "Shooting Me Down" song, which was a little bit different. But
right.
um,
Sometimes that's when
yeah.
it happens when you're not working too hard. When it comes naturally.
Yeah, and I think and I know I often think about it afterwards. I'm like, I don't think we could ever do that again, because
Mm,
we know, we would know that that we're probably gonna release it. And then at the time, like, we really had no intention of releasing these songs, just because they're very traditional country sounding, and that's wasn't the sound I was going with at the time. But I think, with this EP and the next one coming up, I think it was a great opportunity to showcase my roots in country music, and
mhm,
where I came from, and the kind of music that I grew up listening to. And I began singing and learned how to play guitar
yes.
too. And yeah.
For people in the Corner Brook area, will you be at Music NL in
Oh yes.
October? Mhm.
Yep.
And
Yep.
I'm not sure what the plan is there. Can people see you? Are you going to be doing some showcases, or how does it work for Music NL?
For Music now this year, I'm performing at the award ceremony.
Hmm.
But outside of that, there's nothing else
I
that's
see.
really going on. It basically industry things. So
Right.
there's um there's an industry showcase that I'm performing at, but there's nothing publicly
Right.
open to the public. Yeah.
Yes. Now, of course, in country songs, as in stories, there's a beginning, a middle, and an end. So let's talk about your story a little bit. Today, you're in your hometown of Fox Island River, and little geography lesson for listeners. Fox Island River is north of Stephenville. You head towards Port au Port, turn right, and drive up the coast there, about to what, a half an hour from Stephenville, I guess,
Yeah, it's
if
about
you're
25 minutes. Yeah.
driving. Yeah. And so, have you lived in Fox Island River all your life? Have you been away and come back, or what's your
Uh,
life been like up to now?
It's oddly enough, I've always lived in Western Newfoundland, in this close to where I am right now. I grew up right across the bay from where I am right now. I live right on the coast, in the Bay St. George area, and Port au Port Bay, and uh, so I grew up in West Bay Center, which is probably about 45 minutes from where I am right now, out on the Port au Port Peninsula. And
Mhm.
I met my wife when I was 21, and she was from here, so we decided to move here
I see.
into Fox Island River. Yeah.
So, being from that area, Stephenville was the nearest big place. So, did you Did you play shows in Stephenville at clubs? Was that how your
Yeah.
career started off?
It started actually probably um, like performing publicly. There used to be something called Country Night at the Arts and Culture Center in Stephenville, and for anyone who's not familiar with the Arts and Culture Center, it's basically probably a 500 seater theater, and they have a string of them across Newfoundland. Um, but normally they'd have like fundraisers for the local hospital,
Mhm.
and they'd ask people from the community to come in and sing a few songs, and basically that's how I got started performing in front of bigger crowds.
Right.
And then I was probably about 17, 18 when I started doing that. And then I moved into performing to playing at the local clubs,
Mhm.
and doing other shows either at the Arts and Culture Center or uh, you know uh, in other areas around. But basically, it was all mainly in the Stephenville area. Was where I grew up performing. Yeah.
A lot of talent out in that area. People who are not don't become famous, but a lot of great musicians from that
Mm.
area. A lot of people to learn from, I guess, if you're a
Oh,
young
incredible.
musician.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
And did you, when you were growing up, did you have knowledge of your Mi'kmaq heritage at that time? Was it something you talked about in your family?
Actually, no. From when I was a young child, it wasn't something that everybody talked about. And I think mainly it was because the church was very well blended into our community. I mean, I went to Catholic school. It was just a part of everything that we did, and I think they did a really good job uh, of kind of taking away the Mi'kmaq culture over time, from when they moved in back in, geez, whenever they moved in to the area, which was probably 1700s or something like that.
Mm,
So yeah, it was there was a lot of, I mean, we did grow up in a small town. Everybody, I mean, on both sides, both my parents have Mi'kmaq ancestry. So I mean, the culture was there. It was just that it was kind of it was discreet, and it
mm,
wasn't something that a lot of people talked about. And actually, again, it was one of those things that was probably along with the French speaking uh, side of my heritage. When my parents were in school in elementary school, I know that they did not want my parents to speak French, and they didn't want to locally. I think more so in the area. I think there were that if they found out that you were Mi'kmaq descent, it was more of a it came across as a negative
right.
thing, and people normally uh, try to stay away from identifying with that at the
Mm.
time, just uh, because it came with you know I don't know what to call it. I guess
Almost like a scandal in the family, wasn't it? Something
it
that you
was
didn't
it's
talk
not
about.
not scandal, and not so much in the family, but I think in the community,
Mm,
because I mean I think there was, because I know like French Indians they used to call the indigenous, and it always came with a negative
mm,
uh, skew.
yes.
It was more of a slur,
Mm,
if anything, and it's sad really. But again, and with the French speaking as well. I mean, my both my parents, both my uh, grandparents on both sides spoke fluent French, and it didn't get passed
mm,
to my parents at all because of the same idea, because because they didn't. It wasn't accepted in either within the schools through the church or in the community. So yeah, it's it's very sad because there's so much culture lost that way, and uh, and you know, looking back at it, it's a tragedy, a true tragedy on such a huge scale for so many people in my family and in the community to have lost such an integral part of who they are and where they come from.
Mm. Yes. You recently on Facebook posted something that I found very, very moving and very powerful. You wrote on a, you got your moose
Hmm.
for the winter. You're out with your son Jack, and
Yeah.
you said it's a family tradition that goes back for generations. It's important to teach that the kill should always be done respectfully and as quickly as possible. Thankfully, this was a one shot kill, thanks to the creator for providing my family with healthy meat for our fall and winter. And, I hear these other people talking about the same kind of a similar thing when they got their moose. Some people would say a prayer and thank the
Hmm.
creator. So even though, this part of our lives was kind of suppressed, there were still traces of it that we kept, I guess, along the way. And uh, when so I guess you're doing with Jack what you're sort of retracing what your experience would have been when you were his age, I suppose. So the circle continues.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it's nature, the connection with nature with me, I know, and the indigenous and the Mi'kmaq. And I mean, it's just part of who we are. And I think, it's so funny. I was thinking about it this morning, and I'm like, even when I was a kid, and I know I was in the Catholic Church, and that's all I was being taught. But even when I prayed, I always prayed to the Creator.
Mm.
I always talked. I never said God or Jesus or anything. I always spoke to the Creator, even when I prayed when I was a child, and that came naturally for some reason.
Mm.
So I think that's so important. I think to be able to pass it on to the generations moving forward, and the fact that nature is so important I mean, to everybody. That's it shouldn't. I don't think it needs to be explained how important nature is. I mean, it's just if we don't have nature, we die as well. So I
Yes.
think to be able to take care of and show respect for animals and for the resources that we have around us is so important for everyone to keep top of mind, not only in the indigenous people of the world, but everybody, I think. Um, and yeah, I know for sure. I mean, especially with kids. I mean, they always look at hunting and like guns and things from a entertainment point of view, and they play video games, and they see it as killing sometimes as it's a game, and it's not. At the end of the day, and I think to teach kids that, and our children, that you don't just go out and shoot whatever you see because it's fun, entertainment in the afternoon. Like that's definitely not how I'm teaching my kids how to grow up, and to how to respect nature. And I don't think anybody should, because I mean, life is life at the end of the day, regardless,
Mm.
if it's a human or an animal. You just have to be very respectful of what you're doing.
Mhm.
Mm.
No, Jason, you're in Fox Island River. You're a performer. And I guess you're on the road a fair bit, as which is not unusual for Newfoundlanders, I guess, going back and forth to Fort Mac and probably back in Fox Island River on their turnaround. Um, but I wonder how you stay grounded and healthy emotionally and physically, because it's you you know more than anyone probably how demanding that lifestyle can be. Not only the travel, but I guess there's you're in. It's a Friday night and people are out having a party, but of course you're working. They're
Yes.
drinking and they're having a good time. And I think we could talk to a lot of performers from Newfoundland, Roy Payne, for example, and many others who, the performance lifestyle kind of ate them up, and such talent, and they fell into some of the dangers there. So what's your life like, and how do you stay sort of on the ground when you're the star?
I think I'm blessed to have been born with a personality that's just not a party animal. To be
Mhm,
honest, I was never really the guy who was the first at the party, and I'm really introverted actually. I mean, I like my alone time. I like to go walk on the beach 3 times a day. I mean, it's for exercise and to keep myself, grounded. And I love nature. I'm always out uh, doing something, walking or uh, in that world. I think that really helps me a lot is nature. And I mean, even when, for example, London, Ontario. I was there for the Country Music Association Awards of Ontario back earlier this year, probably I think it was May or June, and and I had a hotel downtown. So anyway, the hotel overbooked, so they put me in a different hotel. It was north, it's probably about 10 minutes from the downtown, and and uh, I was like, well, that's unfortunate because I want it to be where the action was, but when I got there, it was literally a huge open field right next to it and a walking trail um, in this hotel and or at this hotel. And that's where I stay now every time I go back to London because
oh wow.
I just when I've got downtime, I get back to the hotel, I'll have something to eat, and then I'm like, well, I'm gonna go. Then I'll go for my walk, and it's just I can't believe how grounding it is. It's so great,
Mm,
and it's just to connect to nature, and I think that's what really levels me out and keeps my feet on the ground, for
yes,
lack of better words.
yes.
Mm.
Well, and probably being a Fox Island River, because in Fox
Yeah,
Island River, you're Jason Benoit. You're not
yeah,
Jason Benoit, country star. You're just Jason Benoit who lives down the road. So
yeah, yeah,
probably
yeah. It's a
keeps it
town of
real.
two. It's a town of 200 people, and it's when I leave, there's 199. So,
Yes, yes.
so yeah, definitely.
Well, and hopefully you can keep on living in Fox Island River, because now, of course, lately with airline flights and not
Yeah.
as many of them, it's harder to be a performer and live in Western Newfoundland. So hopefully the situation will improve and you can maintain your Fox Island River address going forward.
Yeah, I can't see myself moving anytime soon. So I've been I think well, it's for my family. I think since I met my wife, I mean, we've got 3 kids, so I can go anywhere and travel, and she's completely fine with that. Uh, because she has her bases here, she has her family, her friends, and so I think if we moved away and she was in a place, and my children were in a place where they had nobody and it was brand new, I think that would be unfair to them. So I always felt like I think I think it's healthy for the whole family to remain in Fox Island River for the
Yes.
foreseeable time
Hmm.
for moving forward.
Yes.
Mm.
Well, great, Jason. Great to speak to you. We're looking for the release of Time Traveler Side B, and yeah, nice to meet you. And
Great to meet you.
stay well, and all the best out there.
Thanks so much. I appreciate the interview.
All right.